Before my wedding, my adoptive mother dropped a shocking demand. She said if I owed her so much, I should cancel the wedding and convince my fiancé to marry her biological daughter instead. The story I want to share involves my stepmother, her biological daughter, and me. I'm a 25-year-old woman who has been living with my stepmother, Mary, since I was 5. Mary is now 45, but she's been a part of my life for as long as I can remember. My early childhood was extremely difficult. My biological mother was an alcoholic and very abusive toward me. Her neglect and erratic behavior led my dad to file for divorce and fight for full custody. Unfortunately, her issues couldn't be fully proven in court, so custody was split and I spent most of my time with her. However, that arrangement didn't last long. One day, she left me home alone, and I accidentally accessed the balcony. My neighbors noticed and called Child Protective Services. From that moment on, I began living with my dad. Initially, things were rough, but everything improved when my dad met Mary. She was his lawyer's assistant during the divorce, and they soon began a relationship. Mary, who was also divorced, had a daughter named Jane, who was 2 years younger than me. Jane had a neurological condition that confined her to a wheelchair. I met Mary and Jane when I was 4. At first, I was hesitant and guarded because of the trauma I had experienced with my biological mother. However, Mary was incredibly patient. She gave me the space and time I needed to trust her, and within weeks, I felt comfortable with both her and Jane. We became very close. Not long after, my dad and Mary decided to get married. Their wedding was small and intimate, with just my grandparents and Mary's parents in attendance. Before the wedding, I used to call her Mary, but after it, I started calling her Mom because, even though she didn't legally adopt me, I've always seen her as a mother, an adoptive mother. From that point on, our lives steadily improved. Mary opened her own law practice, and my dad, a construction worker, started his own company. His business flourished, and from then on, we never faced financial hardship. Both Jane and I attended the best schools and had good lives. I always considered Jane my sister, helping her with whatever she needed and standing up for her when necessary. Mary felt like the only mother I had ever had since childhood because she was always there for me. I have been extremely grateful to her my entire life because she's the reason I'm alive and thriving, and I've never stopped showing my gratitude. When I started high school, we moved to a much better neighborhood. That's when I met my boyfriend, Ryan. Ryan lived 2 blocks away and was in the same class as me. We started walking to school together once we realized we lived in the same area, and we became good friends. He visited my house often and got along well with everyone, especially Jane. He was one of the few people Jane felt comfortable around, and we all had a lot of fun together. At the end of last year, Ryan asked me out and I said yes. When I told my family about it, everyone seemed happy, except Jane. From that day on, Jane frequently became irritated with me, and we didn't talk much. Mary noticed Jane's behavior and attributed it to a recent change in her medication. I understood and decided to avoid talking to her much to reduce the stress and prevent fights. Ryan and I applied to many universities and were fortunate to get into the same one. Everyone was thrilled with our achievement, and Ryan and I couldn't have been happier. Jane remained somewhat distant from me, so I decided to talk to her before leaving and clear the air. After all, she was family. During our conversation, I realized from the way she spoke about Ryan that she had a crush on him. It all made sense, but I wasn't going to leave my boyfriend to fix things, so I decided not to bring it up. Jane and I reached an understanding before I left, and I was satisfied with that. Before leaving, I told Mary the first thought Jane had a crush on Ryan and that it might help if she talked to Jane to prevent further problems. Mary assured me she would handle it and told me I could always count on her support. I got emotional about leaving my mom, and we both cried a bit in the kitchen. A few weeks after that conversation, I left with Ryan to settle into our room at university. The next 4 years went well. Academically, I excelled in most subjects and secured some internships ahead of my peers. I was doing well. However, my relationship with Ryan wasn't at its best. We had issues from the start of college, and we were on and off most of the time. I also heard rumors that he had cheated on me, so by the end of college, our relationship was pretty shaky. Given our history, we mutually decided that we should take a break to get our bearings. I came home to rest for a few months after finishing my degree and told my parents about the breakup. They weren't as surprised as I thought they would be, but that didn't seem strange to me. Jane was about to finish high school and asked if I could get Ryan to talk to her because she was planning to study the same field and needed guidance. I was hesitant to call Ryan so soon after our breakup, so I suggested some of my friends